Here's Manny Guerra with longtime Worcester resident, former Worcester police officer and photographic artist, Mr. William Bill Gardiner.
This is all about me. This is all about you. So we're keeping it personal. We're keeping it personal.
This week we bring to you a special guest of mine, a really special friend. I call him my big brother, Mr. Bill Gardiner.
What's going on, Manny?
What's up, brother?
Yo, man, chilling.
How you been?
Good, and you?
I'm all right, man. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while. We've known each other for a while, rather.
Yep.
And so I kind of want to talk to you about, some of the questions that you may not have answered before. So for instance, I've always been curious as to whether or not you were born in Worcester. Where were you born?
I was actually born in a hospital in Glenridge, New Jersey. My parents at the time were living in Newark. And so I was born in '65, in and around the time of the Newark riots, when all those riots were going on around the country. And there was an incident that happened that I won't go into, it just takes too long. But my mom was like, we're moving. And she had some friends up in Worcester, and they said, just come on up, we'll figure it out. And we've been here ever since.
Wow, Newark, New Jersey?
Yeah.
My mother's from Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, oh, cool.
Yeah, look at that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
We've known each other for how many years now?
Yeah, I know, right?
I think it's over
97. 25 years.
Is it 97?
Yep.
Wow, that's a long time. So, how do you spell Bill?
B-I-L.
Is it short for anything?
So, you remember AOL?
Yes.
And dial-up?
Yes.
So, I was in AOL, and you got to pick your own screen name. And so, at the time, I was all my life I've been really into Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and that kind of thing. And, of course, I love the name Bilbo. Of course, by that time, Bilbo was gone. So you put in Bilbo. No, Bilbo, you can't have Bilbo, but we have Bilbo 7852. I'm like, 7852? Yeah, nah, that's not me. Bilbo 7277. I'm like, nah, that's not me either.
Bilbo.
So I was thinking about it, and there's a movie. It was the first feature film that George Lucas did, either just before or after graduation from film school, called THX 1138.
Okay.
So I took Bilbo, just added on 1138, and that was my screen name. My original screen name in AOL.
Okay.
Of course, when you go into a chat room and people are like typing each other's name, hey Manny, hey Bill, it's like Bill ILBO1138. People just got tired of that, and all of a sudden it was Bilbo and then Bill and everybody BIL, BIL, BIL. And after a while, I just said, you know what? That's what it is from now on. And so it's my nickname, so I can pretty much spell it any way I want.
That's awesome. So so your name's William?
Yep.
Okay. You have a middle name?
Orrin. William Orrin Gardiner the fourth.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that,
They must have met somewhere, around there.
Gotcha.
And then got married and had me and my sister, and then we loaded up the truck and moved the family.
To Worcester.
Yep.
It's like, and Worcester is becoming the place to be, if you didn't know that already. All right, Mr. Bill Gardiner. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your younger years, like your schooling and where'd you go to college at?
And went to Worcester Academy for 6 years, and did 1 year at Howard University and about 5 years at Syracuse University.
Can you tell me a little bit about your experience in college?
Woo! Wow, that's we could be here all night. Let's see. I'm gonna have to narrow this one down a little bit. So I grew up wanting to be a photographer.
Right.
Always had a camera on me, just like I do now most of the time. And my mom didn't think that was a viable career, so didn't want me to go to school for that. So I went looking around, trying to find out, what else am I into, and it was 1982, the year before I graduated, was the year that Apple came out with the first desktop computer, the Mac II. I think it was the Mac II, Apple II.
Okay.
And I could see it. I could envision one of those in every desk, one of those in every house, one of those,
Yep.
with everybody, just to be able to do papers and reports and communicate with each other, long before the internet was even made. I was just thinking about things like that. And so I said, all right, well, I like to build, Legos, erector sets, Lincoln Logs,
Yep.
Tinker Toys. I was always doing that. So I figured, let's build. My math wasn't very strong, so I said, software programming was out. What I was really into and didn't exist back then was computer information systems. Now CIS is everywhere, but back then it didn't really exist. So what the application of the computers, that was what I was really into. So I tried engineering, did it for a year and a half, a full year at Howard. Got almost all A's except
I was
for.
just gonna ask you that.
Yeah. No, I tell you what, that Worcester Academy education had me ready. So when by the time I started taking exams at Howard, it was like, is this all you got? Because man, this is easy.
There you go.
And literally the first semester, the only bad grade I got was a D in chemistry because the chemistry professor didn't like non-chemistry majors, and I was an engineer. You'd figure that would at least be close cousins, but he didn't like me because I got an A in lab. Go
Did you?
figure.
In
I got
chemistry?
an A in chemistry lab. Yeah, I got an A in chemistry lab, but I got a D in his class.
Yeah, okay.
So it was.
Your career after Syracuse, what'd you do?
Syracuse came home, unfortunately, without a degree. I had 124 credits. You need 120 to graduate, but because I changed majors a couple of times, tried designing my own major, pointed in a few different directions, I didn't have a degree of study. And I had to leave school because it was 5.5 years at that point. And I just couldn't do it anymore, so I had to come home. So I came home and was temping for like 3 good years, and I was actually working at Lizer Sound. I don't know if Lizer Sound was still in existence when you came.
I think we might have used them.
Lizer Sound was a audiovisual and appliance store.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought it was a sound man, like a sound company, actual sound company.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I worked at Lizer Sound and was, selling radios, TVs, and at the time, cell phones, which were bag phones that you had to, if you didn't carry it around with you, wanted in your car, you had to install it in the car and then have a handset that would plug into it. I'm standing in the back of the store one day, and I hear, Bill Gardiner, the front desk, please, Bill Gardiner. And I look up, and every single employee in the company is standing around the front desk surrounding a state trooper in full dress uniform, holding a handset in one hand and a pair of handcuffs in the other.
What?
So I go walking up, and when I get up there, I say, how you doing, trooper? What can I do for you? He says, this doesn't work. I'm like, okay, Jimmy, grab the trooper's car, bring it around to the bay and see what we can do about that. Took care of him right away, and he's like, let's take a walk. And a big black trooper.
Yep.
Al Tony, for people who know troopers in the area. Al Tony's been a long-standing Worcester resident.
I heard of him. Might have met him
Yep.
once or
Yep.
twice.
So we walked out front, and he said, what are you doing with your life? And I said, well, you're pretty much looking at it, trooper. And he says, have you ever thought about law enforcement? I said, well, yeah, every kid does, police officer, firefighter, astronaut.
Right.
So I said, but everybody I knew that was a police officer was the son of, nephew of, brother of, something
Sure.
like that. I figured you had to have an in.
Sure.
He's like, no, you take the test. I'm like, what test? He's like, take the civil service exam for municipal police, or you take the state police exam for the state police. I said, oh, okay.
Easy.
And back then, you just got the paper and the classified ads in the back. You just go and check that every once in a while.
Yep.
And you'd see an announcement for the test coming up,
Yep.
and I took both of them. Crushed the civil service exam, got a 98, got a 95 in the state police exam.
Wow. Good
And
job.
while I was waiting, I just decided that, not decided, while I was waiting, I saw a job come up for a position at WPI, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, campus police.
Yep.
And that was going to be cool, I thought at the time, because Clark University and WPI were the only 2 colleges in Worcester that had the power to arrest and could carry firearms. So I figured that would at least give me a little more knowledge, education,
Sure.
and street cred when I eventually went towards a full-fledged police department.
Okay.
Oh, how wrong I was.
Wow.
But anyway, end of the summer of '92, I ended up getting called up by WPI, and they had 2 positions, one full-time officer and one full-time traffic person, and I took the traffic position. and did that for about 6 months. When one or two guys left the midnight shift, and they had to fill the spot, and said, well, you're doing great so far, so let's just put you up in there. And so I became a police officer there and went to the 96R Reserve Intermittent Academy in Agawam,
Okay.
and was a police officer there for about 2 years before getting called up by the city of Worcester.
That's incredible. But, you know, I like the way you planned that, you know, to try to gain the experience before you moved on.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.